welcome back, everybody. This is the North American International Auto Show, the 2018 version. I'm the Cliff Russell of the Cliff Russell Show, but we have Steph White with us here now, so it is the Steph White and Cliff Russell Show here on 910 a.m.
Hi, Cliff.
The Future. Hey, Steph, how are you?
I'm doing good. This
That's
is
good.
so great. What a great venue for us to be at.
Steph hosts The Agenda. That is the show that comes on every Monday on 910 a.m. from 8 to 9
That's
p.m.
right. 8 to 9 p.m.
It is called The Agenda, and it deals with LGBT issues in Detroit and Michigan and around the country. And I'm so glad I finally got a chance or an opportunity, get it right, Cliff, to talk to you about this. When you were in high school, I know you said that you had not come out at that time.
No.
Was that, how uncomfortable was that for you?
That was actually in high school was fine. You know, I didn't have much of a sense of myself or my sexuality. I had a group of friends, and that none of us were really doing a lot of dating at the time. So that was my group of friends. So yeah, high school I was really lucky. I had a good group of friends, and I didn't have struggles. Not like a lot of kids today. I think partly because I was in high school in the 1980s, and there wasn't as many people being out in the 80s. Now, looking back, there was a kid or two who was suspected to be gay in my high school, and there was a lot of backlash, and it upset me personally. And I think my mom already knew that I was gay, even though I didn't know.
Wow, before you knew.
Yeah, my mom was smart. And so I came home and told her how upset I was about all this, and she was really good at like talking to me just about how kids feel awkward about their sexuality, and that makes them act bad sometimes.
Right.
And made me feel better. Gave me the space I needed.
I have had a couple of conversations with friends of mine who are lesbians. And they talk about, and clearly you didn't have that, and I'm glad you didn't, but how uncomfortable high school was, and how, in one case in particular, how they would almost overcompensate. They would make sure their hair was all done, and they wore the pretty frilly type dresses and clothes so that no one would suspect that they were actually a lesbian. But at some point they came out and they felt like the weight of the world had been lifted off their shoulders.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that happened to me later in life, you know, in college. And then right after college, I was in the Army. So, you know, you had to be in the closet back then when I was in the Army. Now you can get out service. Did you just see that 2 active duty Army officers were married at West Point? 2 men, active duty Army officers, got married at West Point just last week or something.
Now, you know what? I saw the headline to that story, and I wasn't quite sure what they were talking about. So has the military changed its attitude there?
They absolutely
It
have.
used to be don't tell, don't ask.
Don't ask, don't tell, yeah.
But don't ask, don't tell really meant we don't like it, but we just won't talk about it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I was in the Army from the switch, during that switch, before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, when it was much more hostile towards LGBT people. And then after, when Don't Ask, Don't Tell got passed, now some people still pursued the gay soldiers and went after them and tried to kick them out of the military. That did still happen. But some officers decided they were going to use it as a, like, I don't have to see it. I don't have to care. So, like, a friend of mine, I was an officer, and a friend of mine was commanded a maintenance unit, and his best mechanic was this lesbian. And she would go to the strip clubs with the guys. She would try to be the one that won the stripper's attention.
Wow.
She was very open about it, but this is under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And this officer decided she was the best mechanic, so he wasn't going to notice.
Right. Well, gee, what a concept. Let's deal with people based on their abilities.
Their skills, that's
and
right.
who's good at what they're doing.
Right. So, so after Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, and now service is open to everybody. I'll talk about trans service in a second. It's a little bit different. But for gay and lesbian soldiers now, they can be totally open. And I want to give a shout out to Senator Carl Levin, our own senator, who helped make that happen. He actually helped shepherd that law through and repeal the ban on open service. So,
fantastic. I am asking all the questions. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, well, Cliff, tell me what it was like for you in high school. What was your attitude about Gay
throughout.
kids. Did you know any gay kids?
I did not know any gay. I didn't know that they were gay at the time.
Right.
We might have thought that they were a little different.
Yeah.
I think back then the term that was used was a sissy. So
Sure.
acts like a sissy.
Yeah.
But I really had no concept of actual homosexuality.
Right.
But I did come up in a culture around a bunch of guys where if you were perceived to be a gay man, then it was my obligation to kick your butt.
To help.
Now,
That was the
I'm
big
glad
thing.
I'm glad I've gotten past that. I'm glad
Yes.
that that type of hatred and
Right.
bigotry
Right.
is no longer being cultivated in me.
Right.
But I have to admit, when I was coming up, some guy was, was a sissy for real. Oh yeah, it was our obligation to kick their butt because clearly they had been cursed by God.
Oh my.
And it was up to me to kick the curse out of them.
Oh right. Yeah.
Now, fortunately, I have lived long enough where I've known for a fact that I have gay and lesbian friends.
Right.
I now know that I've had some gay and lesbian relatives. I didn't know it at the time.
Right.
And I don't love them any less. So fortunately, I've come to see the light about that.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine if you were giving off the "I'm going to kick your butt" vibe, nobody was going to be coming out to you.
Oh no, and that was pretty universal.
Yeah, for sure.
I was not the lone bully.
No.
I didn't go around thinking about it, but if the subject came up,
Yeah.
we were like, I'm gonna kick his, and fortunately I've gone past that.
You know what's interesting about that? I don't know if you've ever reflected on this, but I have a lot of straight men who have since reflected that sentiment also put pressure on them to never be too soft or feminine, to shut down. Do you
Yes.
feel like you lost some of your own ability to express affection or whatever, to be soft or
Absolutely. I
emotional?
mean, there was such a premium placed on being hard
Yeah,
and being tough
Yeah.
and not showing emotion.
right.
Steph, I can tell you easily let me think about this. Easily for a 20 to 25 year period in my life, I never shed a tear.
Yeah.
Maybe at a funeral.
Wow.
But I never shed a tear because men don't do that.
Yeah.
And I remember when I finally was in a situation where I actually could cry. And I was actually having a conversation with my wife. And that conversation became so overwhelming. I started crying.
Yeah.
And it felt great. It
That's
felt
so
great to finally get it out.
Yeah.
But I look at that period where I could not cry.
Right.
And I understand now that was not healthy.
No.
I've had some health issues in my life, and probably some of that was due to the fact that I had kept all this, repressed and bottled up inside.
Right. Because God forbid someone would think you were a sissy.
Oh, I can't be a punk now.
No.
That was the other
That was
term.
the-
He's a punk.
Yeah, right.
I can't be a sissy. I can't be a punk.
No. And now you have kids.
Yes.
And what's your relationship like with them? Are you emotional around them?
Absolutely.
Are they tap
I
into
hug them.
Yeah.
I tell them in their whole lives. I've hugged them. I told them I loved them. Particularly my sons. I want them to know that you can be a man.
Yes.
And, the way that I see that. And that you can be strong.
Yes.
But that your emotions are a natural part of who you are. And it is not healthy for you to keep that inside.
Right on.
And I'm so glad because I'm familiar with a friend of mine, guy I know. And I just heard recently him refer to his father and say, my father never told me he loved me or hugged me my entire life.
Jeez.
And he had some issues dealing with a family.
Sure.
He's divorced now.
Oh, see?
He's divorced now. And I think part of that problem was when it came to him actually allowing those emotions to come out, he just couldn't do it.
Right.
And
that keeps people away from us. We build up those walls
exactly
to try to protect ourselves.
But to speak to your question, for me, it was something as simple as I could never wear the color pink.
Yes. No.
If I wore the color pink, I must be gay.
Oh, dear.
And I can't do that. In fact, I remember.
You look really good, I think.
Actually, eventually, and I'm pretty sure I was in my 40s. Okay. It took a while.
Yeah.
And that was during a period when remember men were wearing pink shirts.
That's right. There was a big.
And somebody bought me a pink shirt, and I bought a pink tie to go with it. And it looked good with a suit I had. So I said, what the hell? and I was able to overcome pain.
Beautiful. Welcome to the
At
pink.
that part of my life.
So, what do you think made changes for you? You were saying you started meeting people. How did your attitude towards gay folks evolve?
I think first it came from the people that I knew, particularly one that I worked with, and we talked about that.
Right.
That this person really, I was just so impressed with them. And when I found out that this woman was a lesbian, I said, well, you know what? I've got to change my thinking on that,
Right.
because nothing could make me not like, not respect this person. And then, frankly, society has changed a lot. All of a sudden, I began to see references on television. I began to see the issue discussed on news programs. I began to see gay and lesbian characters in movies and plays and shows. And they weren't evil, they weren't deviant, and they weren't sleazy and slimy.
Right.
And frankly, that part of our society began to have more light shed on it.
Great.
And so I was like, oh, okay.
Right. People became real, full human beings instead of just caricatures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I, plus I've gotten older. I've learned that you can't define anyone by any single aspect of who they are. We all are individuals. We all are a compilation of many, many different things.
Right.
And that sexual orientation is just one of those things.
That's right.
You know, there are some people who are gay or lesbian that I like very much. Some I don't like, but not because they're gay or lesbian, because they're jerks.
Yes, that's right. I have a friend one time told me, I've never met a gay or lesbian person I didn't like. And I just said, well, you just haven't met enough.
Met enough, right. Exactly.
Let me introduce you more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I actually learned that lesson more when you talk about people can be nice or bad through someone I know who was in a wheelchair. And, you know, I think there had been a tendency, oh, they're in a chair, we feel sorry for them. Well, I want to say this guy was an a-hole. And I finally said, you know what, he's in a chair, but I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
And that was liberating.
Yeah. You can just genuinely not like him.
Exactly. It's not about me feeling sorry for this guy. He's just not a nice person.
Yeah, right.
And so that's a part of my education.
So this is what we say at Equality Michigan and across the LGBT movement, starting with like Harvey Milk, of course, was one of the biggest proponents of come out, wherever you are, whoever you are. It's harder for people to make us into these mythological stereotypes. You know, if you can dehumanize somebody by saying, well, they're not a real person, they're just, trying to recruit children to be more gay, you know, as if that's what a thing. That's not actually a thing.
Right.
But you can make those accusations if you don't actually know any gay people, and you don't know how boring and average and interesting and full and different our lives are, just like everybody else's. So,
interesting you bring that up, because I hear a lot of Republicans, a lot of so-called conservatives now, swear that there is a gay agenda.
Well, that's why we have the agenda on Monday nights.
Yes, that you are trying to overtake the country. You're trying to turn all of us into lesbians and homosexuals.
Yes.
That you want to affect our children. You want to put gay curriculums in schools.
Right.
What is this master conspiracy that is going on? Come on, you can tell us, Steph.
Gosh, my agenda is I want to just live my life and move through society without anybody, saying boo to me.
You mean Equality Michigan is not some subversive organization that's trying to undermine American values?
No. What are the, what's interesting to my parents?